welcome everyone to Season 2 of the Here's Johnny podcast. My name is Larry.
And my name is Justin. It's an exciting time for us, I think.
I'm very excited to start Season 2. Deranged Man for me also kind of means slasher. So it's kind of my favorite subgenre of horror. And as we talked about in the very first episode, Michael Myers is my all-time favorite. So I hope our audience is ready for some Michael.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really exciting. And I'm actually kind of excited to tell them what's coming this season.
Yes, and we will tell them, but they do have to wait until the end of the episode. But we promise, stick around, and we will go through every single thing that will be reviewed coming up this season. But first, Justin, before we get into any of that, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's noticeable, but I also bought a new microphone. So we got some snazzy new microphones, so hopefully everything is a lot...
Couldn't let me have it. Not only could you not let me have my new microphone, you had to go out and buy an even better microphone.
I gotta have nice things. I have to have nice things.
Justin Trudeau needs to start taxing you guys more up there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we already get taxed at the ass here, so... But yeah, I mean, other than that, I played actually a couple of games this week. I played Valkyria Chronicles 4. I don't know if you've...
I have actually no idea what that is.
So it's kind of like a... It's like a strategy, kind of turn-based alternative history World War II game. It's a really weird game to describe.
Is it like Rome Total War?
No,
like
it's
that kind of game.
It's actually like a... So the turns are, you get like these things called CP, and they're command points, and you like set up what troops you want at the start of the battle, and you actually select them and you move around in third person.
Wait, so it's like Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yes, except for it's like a shooter too. It's a really weird game.
Tactics is one of the only Final Fantasy games outside of the two MMOs that I have not beaten, and I can't get into it, dude. I cannot get into it.
Well, funny story. I got maybe 2 hours into this game and decided it was not worth my $70, so I returned it to EB Games.
Did you get your money back?
Oh yeah.
Oh heck yeah, man! Nothing wrong with that.
I don't know if they have the same thing over there.
They don't. You walk out the store with that game is worth half, if that, in store credit, if you were to turn right back around. Because I did. So I went in. I remember when Final Fantasy Type 0 came out. I literally went in.
Oh, and by Final Fantasy Type 0, you mean the Final Fantasy 15 demo?
That's what I bought it for. And I tried to play Type 0, and it was just not for me. So I literally brought it back in later that day. And they're like, yeah, we can give you $15 for it. I was like, I just paid $60. Like, literally 4 hours ago, I paid $60. And he's like, well, I can give you $25 in the store credit. So I own Type 0.
See, it's weird. Like, for me, we have, like, membership cards.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like different colors. So a red one, there's like red, green, gold, platinum, and onyx.
Mm-hmm. And
because I go in there so much, I have a platinum card. You have to like get points by like trading in games and like buying games. And because I buy I buy a shit ton of games.
Mm-hmm.
I have a platinum card, so I get I have 7 days. As long as I have the receipt, I can bring any game back I buy within 7 days, and I can't get my money back, but I get the exact same amount I paid for in-store credit.
So you literally just buy a new game, beat it in a week, take it back in, and get the next new game?
Yeah, that's why I beat games so fast.
That's incredible. That's awesome. Well, Justin, I know you've been doing something else this week that we both have been doing.
We played Dead by Daylight for the first time, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah,
so for the listeners who maybe have guessed this from like what I talk about games I've played, I don't really play online with other people.
Yeah, either do I.
Mainly because I like being the best, and the moment I hop online, I'm no longer that. So it's very frustrating for me. But no, we hopped in Dead by Daylight. I survived my first match, and then Justin came on and he survived his first match, and we actually survived a couple matches together. And it was a lot of fun. Like, we played for like 3 or 4 hours. Like, I was shocked. It was a blast.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I played an online multiplayer game that long. Especially, like, I don't know, it was so fun. It's stressful. It's very stressful.
Yeah, and we've been talking about like what game to play on Twitch, because we'll get to this a little bit later, but we're launching Twitch this Sunday. For you, it will be yesterday. But every Sunday we're going to be streaming. We're trying to figure out what game to play. And since Dead by Daylight is still one of the most popular games on Twitch, and it's fun as heck to play, we're going to be playing that a while.
Yeah, and I think probably not the first time we stream it, but definitely by the second time we stream it, I'm going to have some of that DLC.
I was telling my fiance, and I was like, I won't buy most of the DLC, but as the new Halloween movie gets closer and closer, you might see a $7 charge, because I might have to play as Michael Myers. And then for me, besides playing Dead by Daylight with you, I've been playing more Tomb Raider. I'm going for the Platinum. All I have left is to play it on the hardest difficulty and a couple like kill combos you have to get, because I didn't realize that the enemies don't respawn, so if you miss it, you have to play it again, which is fine. It's a fun game. And yeah, I almost had that Platinum wrapped up, so I'm pretty proud of that. Besides Tomb Raider and Dead by Daylight, it's been actually really, really busy at work. I'm like kind of starting the transition of passing my stuff off to other people since I'm leaving at the end of the year. And so it's a lot of stuff's going on. It's been very, very busy, but besides that, it's been okay.
I bet you're excited to get away.
I'm very excited. Like, I'm going to be transitioning to a more senior role in the new lab I'm going to, so I'm pretty excited for that. But before we get into the plugs, we talked about it last week, and I want to get into more detail this week. For season 2, we want to continue to grow the podcast. So a way to do that is we want to reward our listeners for helping us spread. So this is the official announcement of the promotional contest for Here's Johnny. The purpose of it is to help us grow the podcast throughout season 2, and the reward is the top 3 listeners with the highest point total will get a Here's Johnny Season 2 t-shirt.
I'm really excited. Like I said last week, I made myself a mug like as soon as we got the art, and like I made a bunch of stuff that I can. Well, I think I just made like a bunch of business cards that I can hand out at that con that I'm going to, and I don't know. I love this art. Like, it's fantastic.
Yeah, Stolas did a really great job for us. And again, if you get a chance, check out his Instagram. It's Jay Fraioli Art. But yeah, so there's different ways to earn points throughout the season. And I also went back. I created an Excel file, which will be on the website, so you can check all this stuff out. But basically, what it is, you get rewarded for supporting the show. I want to go through the point breakdown, but again, this will be on the website, so you can look at it there. You get 5 points if you review the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you can review the podcast. You get 4 points for being a patron. You get 3 points for sending an email to the show, and you can get 1 email point total for each episode.
I would like to jump in and say, hopefully that's not just them emailing saying hi.
No, it has to either be either a direct answer to the question of the episode or a question for the show, anything like that. It just can't be something as simple as, here's my email. And then you also will get 3 points if you recommend the show to a friend, but that friend has to reference you in either an email or a review. So we have to know that that you recommended it. You get 2 points for following the show on Twitter, following the show on Instagram, following the show on Facebook, following the show on Twitch, and joining the Discord. I'm actually really happy with, for only 1 season, how active the Discord is. And then you get 1 point for commenting on a blog post, and you get 1 point for subscribing to the show on YouTube. Since our YouTube isn't that big yet, it's more just uploading the podcast until we get your video diaries from the con. The YouTube really isn't that main of a focus. But I have gone through the stuff from last season and everything on all the Twitter followers and everything, so I compiled it all. And again, I'm going to upload this list to the website, so check it to make sure, like, if your Twitter name is different than the name I know you by, or if you're on here twice, just let me know and I'll fix it. But I do have our top 3 people, if you want me to give them out.
Yeah, I mean, let them know now.
All right. And so, as of this episode, here are the top 3 people who are currently getting the t-shirts. In first place with 20 points is Lady Sylv. And I want to caveat this and say that she actually isn't even a patron, but she has the most points with 20. So yes, the patron does help you a little bit, but you actually get more points by being more proactive, by like sending emails and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, I know she sent a couple emails to us, and I know she follows us on Twitter.
She was a guest, which was nice when you were being a father, which is good.
I appreciate it.
And second place with 15 points is Lycan of Light with 15. And then we have a 2-way tie in third between Ashley and Seagram. So They have 13 points, so that's where it's at. Yeah, it's real easy, and like again, like it's just a way for us to thank you for helping us while also growing the show. So yeah, it'll be on the website. If you have any questions, feel free to email us and ask us about it. But we're trying to keep it all there. But Justin, with all that, want to get into some plugs, head into the news?
Yeah, I guess let's start this dirty deed here. So
okay. If you want to get a hold of the show, as always, the best way is through email, and that is at here'sjohnnypodcast@gmail.com. On Twitter, the show is at here'sjohnnycast, and you can find me, Larry, at BeaverLA.
You can find me at PickleThing on Twitter, and as always, the Discord and the website links will be in the show notes. You can also search on Facebook for Here's Johnny Podcast, and we should hopefully be the only thing that shows up.
I think so, yeah. On Instagram, and we're at Here's Johnny Podcast, and on Twitch, our Twitch handle is what, Justin? You're the one who's been in charge of that one.
Oh, yeah, so I could only get here's_Johnny_podcast.
That's okay.
Yeah, we'll sexy it up later. Mm-hmm. And just on YouTube, it's just Here's Johnny Podcast. And right now, like Larry said, it's just the episodes. I know sometimes it's easier to listen to the episodes on there while you're, I don't know, cleaning up or maybe cooking dinner or something. Sometimes it's just easier. So
just trying to get it out there as much as we can. And so with all that being said, we'll wrap up the intro and head on into Justin's Game Corner.
Okay, so this week I actually it's another very short week for me. I just have two things to talk about. First, because we did play Dead by Daylight, and it was a lot of fun, and I know Friday the 13th is the PlayStation Plus game this month, which I'm assuming you've also downloaded. Mm-hmm. And hopefully you try that out at least some point in time. I want to talk about this new trailer that came out called Last Year the Nightmare.
Yes, you sent me the link to the trailer, and I do have some questions about it.
What's up?
Is it like Fortnite, but with a killer?
No, so what it is, I've seen a little bit of gameplay, and okay. It looks like Dead by Daylight, except for you can fight back. So I guess it's like a mix of Dead by Daylight and Friday the 13th. So it's in a high school, and I'm pretty sure it's always the same map.
Okay.
But the killer can actually, when nobody sees him, when nobody's looking at him, he can actually despawn and spawn anywhere around the map as long as nobody can see him.
Oh, wow, okay.
And when he's despawned, he can actually interact with the environment still. Like, so if somebody's like standing over a trap, he can activate the trap, or he can lay traps. And yeah, I don't know. I think it looks really cool. It's got like that, like, weird late 90s feel to it, and
yeah, in the trailer it says it's like 1996, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think it's at prom or something like that. I don't know. I think it looks really fun. I mean, I feel like there's going to be a lot of these games coming out with the success of Dead by Daylight, but I don't know. I'm excited for this one. It looks cool.
And then I saw it's coming to Discord.
Yeah. Okay. So
how's that work?
I have no idea, but I saw that too, and I was very confused by it. I don't know if Discord like sells games. I don't think they do.
Yeah, I also have no idea. So
maybe this will be like their way of kind of getting into that. I'm not 100% sure, but you should go check out the trailer. It looks cool. They don't really give you a lot of gameplay in it, but yeah, it just looks like Dead by Daylight. But
and as long as remember, we'll attach that trailer to the show notes.
I will try to remember. Yeah, and other than that, I just have another trailer to bring. So this game is called Home Sweet Home. Apparently it was an indie darling on the PC, and you also watched that?
Yes, I did.
So the reason I wanted to bring this is because I think this game looks fantastic. The trailer, I have no idea what's going on from the trailer.
Yeah, either do I. Is it VR?
It can be played in VR.
Oh, okay.
I know it's coming to PSVR, and I think you can play it in VR on PC. I'm not 100% sure, but it has a lot of inspiration from horror over in Thailand. And I don't know, it looks really messed up, and I'm going to try and dig more into it and see where it would fit, because I really want to play this game.
Yeah, it did look cool, and I think VR is a really good medium for horror games, and I'm excited. My friend has an Oculus Rift, and if it is on PC, I bet I can get him to let me play it on that. So
I'm not rich, so I don't have that.
Oh, I don't have it either. Like I said, my friend does, not me.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, just another trailer. I'll try to put it in the show notes if I remember, but it has really cool visuals, like people popping out of the girl covered in blood coming out of the walls and giant monsters. I don't know. I think it looks cool. I'll dig more into it, and hopefully we can get to it soon. But other than that, I don't have anything else, so let's head on over to Larry's movie notes.
All right, so I have 3 pieces of news for this week, and 2 of them involve James Wan. One's kind of good James Wan news, and one's kind of bad James Wan news. So do you want the good or the bad first?
Well, I feel like I already know what the bad is.
Yeah.
So let's get the good.
All right, so James Wan, in conjunction with New Line Cinema, is bringing a competitive show to TV, and it's called Night Vision, and basically it's 13 episodes. This is a quote from The Hollywood Reporter. It says, "For the series, 13 filmmakers will be chosen by a panel of leading horror directors, producers, writers, and executives, and presented with the challenge of creating the best, scariest short films possible. And the winner will receive a once-in-a-lifetime development deal with New Line, which is often referred to as the house that Freddy built." And James Wan said in a statement that, "I can't wait to discover the next new talent in horror. This competition is an exciting opportunity for up-and-coming horror directors to get noticed by the industry and audiences alike."
Yeah, that actually sounds like it could be really cool, and I hope that... I know with sometimes with competitions like these, they kind of have like an upset winner, like people win, but not everybody wants them to win. I really hope we see more than just one horror director come out of this, and I'd be really interested to see but what these people can come up with, especially with James Wan there. I'm excited for this.
No, I agree 100% with that sentiment, and to be honest, I have a lot of faith because of James Wan, and there are a lot of really good short, like 2-3 minute videos on YouTube that are pretty terrifying. But with all that goodness from James Wan coming up, I do have bad news, and I want to caveat this by saying that this might be personal preference more than anything, but that's what it is. The Conjuring 3 will not be directed by James Wan. Like we talked about in the James Wan special, he's not really big on sequels, and the biggest reason why he came back for The Conjuring 2 was because he saw what happened to the Saw franchise, and he didn't like the way it went, so he wanted to make sure that the story he created continued the same kind of tone. But Michael Chavez is replacing not replacing, because James Wan was never officially attached, but Michael Chavez will be directing The Conjuring 3 for New Line Cinema, and yeah, I won't lie, I was really kind of hoping we'd see a 3-story arc with The Conjuring that Wan would kind of helm, kind of similar to what Christopher Nolan did with Batman. I want to thank Twitter follower and contributor to the podcast, because he has sent a couple emails, Kyle, for bringing it to my attention and starting my morning off negatively. But I don't know. I mean, I have high hopes just because James Wan was heavily involved in picking his replacement. But I mean, James Wan's a really, really special director, and it's going to be hard to replace him. So
has the replacement director, I guess, I know it's not replacement, but has he directed anything before?
He sure has. So Chavez most recently directed a film for New Line and Atomic Monster. And again, Atomic Monster is James Wan's production company.
Okay.
The film is coming out in April 2019. It's called The Curse of La Llorona, and it's about a Latino folktale, basically a ghost of a weeping woman who terrorizes kids.
Okay.
So, I mean, they must really have high hopes for it, because of, obviously they've seen a rough cut of this film. It's coming out in April, so the rough cut's already done. But at the same time, I mean, it's not James Wan, and James Wan he's so unique in how he films. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm nervous, but I'm cautiously nervous, mainly because Wan helped pick it. So we'll see where it goes. But yeah, and my last piece of news is about a new film that's kind of wrapping up its casting right now. It's called Dr. Sleep, and it is a film based on the Stephen King book of the same name, but Dr. Sleep is a sequel to The Shining.
So do they have... I don't know if the kid who played Danny is still around.
It is not him. The person playing older Danny Torrance is actually Ewan McGregor.
Okay. Are there any other,
Big names? So, not really. I mean, the biggest announcement actually came earlier this week, where the House of the Devil star Jocelyn Donahue is joining the cast, and it did not say who she's playing, I don't think. Yeah, she just joined the cast, but she's the next biggest name. But we'll see. I mean, I really like the book. It's kind of set up like an AA Bible, which is kind of cool, because Danny Torrance, like his father, has a drinking problem, but he's trying to fight it, unlike his dad who didn't. The book's really cool. I really dug the book, and I guess I can talk about what you have spoilers on here. So basically, there's this cult led by this woman called Snakebite Andy, who captures kids with The Shining and eats them.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what? I haven't read this book, but I want to now.
It's actually really good. It is very good. The book is. I prefer it to The Shining. I thought it was better than The Shining. But yeah, Justin, that's all I have for news. So if you're good, I'm good, and I'm excited to get into this. We are going to now start our deep dive on John Carpenter. So, Justin.
Yes.
John Carpenter. We're going to get a deep dive into him. His career is far longer than James Wan because his first feature film came out in 1974. So this will be a little bit longer. I did condense it where I could, but I do have budget and box office numbers for what I was able to find.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes the further you go back, it's almost harder to get some of those numbers.
Yeah, but with all that being said, are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, John Carpenter was born on January 16th, 1948 in Carthage, New York. In 1953, he and his family moved to Bowling Green, Kentucky. John Carpenter has stated that from an early age, he had a strong interest in westerns of the Howard Hawks and John Ford variety and low-budget horror films of the 1950s, such as Thing from Another World. Pay close attention to that because that film in particular we're going to come back to it. He also started shooting 8mm film while he was in high school. He first attended Western Kentucky University, where his dad was the chair of the music department, which is why John Carpenter has been so heavily involved in scoring his own films, because he has that training from his father. But he transferred to USC's School of Cinematic Arts to pursue his dreams, but he dropped out in 1968 so he could do his first feature film. However, while at USC, Carpenter wrote and directed an 8-minute short film called Captain Voyeur. Many believe that Captain Voyeur was the main catalyst for what Carpenter would later do with Halloween. But in 2011 was when this film actually came into rediscovery because a USC librarian found it in old footage. So as of 2011, the University of Southern California is in the process of trying to restore it, and once it's restored, it will be available for people to watch. But I tried digging all over the internet, and I could not find it.
It's weird that they didn't find it until 7 years ago.
Yeah, it's not. That also really surprised me.
I'm glad they were able to find it. I mean, hopefully they restore it. And
I won't lie, when I heard that it was the catalyst for Halloween, that's when I started digging. I wanted to watch. It's only 8 minutes, and I'm sure it's old. It was in 1969, so it's not going to be the best quality ever. But I wanted to see. I've seen the precursor for Saw, right? I wanted to see the precursor for Halloween, but I could not find it, which was sad.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it ever comes to light, we should definitely sit down and watch it. I mean, I know, like you said, it's only 8 minutes, you said?
Yep.
But I think it would be really interesting to take a look at it if we can eventually get our hands on it anyways.
In 1970, he was the co-writer, film editor, and music composer for an Academy Award-winning short film called The Resurrection of Bronco Billy. The Academy Award that was won for the film was the Best Live Action Short Film. That one you can find online. It's a Western, so it's pretty much what you would expect from that kind of time frame Western fare.
Yeah. And
he didn't direct it, so I didn't put too much focus on it, but I did think it was cool that, he started off with, the Academy Award is no joke. But in 1974, John Carpenter released his first major film as a director. It's called Dark Star, which is a sci-fi comedy, and it was co-written with Dan O'Bannon. And I want to talk about Dan O'Bannon a little bit. He actually went on to write Alien, and he openly admits that he borrowed freely from the Dark Star script when he wrote Alien, and he said he just decided to make it a little bit darker, and obviously he succeeded because Alien is considered one of the scariest films of all time.
A sci-fi comedy, that's what he starts with? Okay. Well, I'm glad he moved on from that.
O'Bannon also did the special effects on the film, which caught the eye of George Lucas, who hired him to do the special effects for Star Wars.
Well, I guess it's kind of in the same genre, so...
Carpenter received a lot of praise because he made a very good, low-budget film. The budget was $60,000, but I looked on IMDb and elsewhere on the internet, and I just could not find what the box office brought in.
So have you seen this sci-fi comedy movie?
No, I have not. I actually, when I put this together, I realized that there's a lot of John Carpenter's work that I have not seen.
Yeah, I mean, I looked into it as well. I mean, I know I haven't seen a lot of movies, but looking at the list, I think I saw, I think it was like 4 movies that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to go and try and find this movie. I'm not a huge like comedy movie person, but it'd be interesting to see.
So Carpenter's next film, which came out in 1976, was a thriller called Assault on Precinct 13. He wrote, directed, scored the film, and also did all of the editing.
So did they remake this movie?
Yes, I will get to that later. Have you seen the original?
No.
I liked it. I mean, it's definitely like an exploitation kind of film, which was the trend back in that time. It's about like it's in LA, and like LA is like super corrupt, and like these people hole up in a old precinct, like an old cop precinct, and are trying to defend themselves from people trying to get in.
Oh, so it is kind of like the remake?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I only saw the remake because I had to let customers at Blockbuster know how it was when it came out. It was a big deal back then.
Yeah, and Carpenter says he considers this to be his first real film because it was the first film that he had to shoot on a schedule. The other big note from this film is that it was the first time he teamed up with Deborah Hill, who will come back a lot throughout this. The budget for this film was $150,000, and again, I could not find box office numbers on it. Then, 1978, it brought around the reason why Carpenter is considered the horror master. 1978 was when Halloween released. The film was shot on a budget of $30,000, and the box office is estimated at $65 million, and that is before accounting for inflation or whatever else the thing they use.
That is insane. Like, it's weird that he went... I always just kind of assume that he might have had, like, some small, like, short movies before Halloween. Like, for some reason, I thought Halloween was his first movie.
Nope.
Well...
Carpenter, when working on the film, combined 2 ideas of producer Erwin Janblas. The first was that babysitters were being chased by a stalker. The second was that murders were taking place on Halloween. So Carpenter, along with Deborah Hill, who helped write the script, combined those 2 ideas to create what we know as Halloween. Carpenter is quoted as the basic concept of the film being Halloween night. It has never been the theme in a film. My idea was to do an old haunted house film. Well, I don't consider it a haunted house film, but I definitely consider it a very well-shot Halloween film. It was co-written by Carpenter and Deborah Hill. He says the film was heavily influenced by Dario Argento's Suspiria when it comes to the coloration that he used in the film. And the horror was more inspired by William Friedkin's The Exorcist, which we all know and love.
Except for you.
Except for me, because I haven't seen it. Carpenter has described Halloween as true, crass exploitation. I decided to make a film I would love to have seen as a kid, full of cheap tricks like a haunted house at a fair, where you walk down the corridor and things jump out at you. The film has often been cited as an allegory on the virtue of sexual purity and the danger of casual sex. Although Carpenter explains, it has been suggested that I was making some kind of moral statement. Believe me, I'm not. In Halloween, I view the characters as simply normal teenagers, which I think is kind of fun because obviously that kind of trope of you have sex, you die, you do drugs, you die, really started with Halloween, but Carpenter swears up and down that that was not his intention. But the last note I have on Halloween is that in 2006, the U.S. Library of Congress selected it for preservation in the National Film Registry because of its, and I quote, cultural significance. In 1980, Carpenter followed up the success of Halloween with another cult classic, The Fog. Justin, have you seen this one?
Surprising nobody. Yet again, I have not.
So this is a ghostly revenge tale, which was also co-written by Deborah Hill. Carpenter says he was inspired by the horror comic Tales from the Crypt. And it's a good movie, basically. I don't want to get into the plot of it because I just don't have time to do it for all his movies, but it's a really good ghost story. The movie posed the first and only hurdle, according to Carpenter, of his career, because when he finished filming the first time, he hated the rough cut, and he had to figure out a way to salvage the film and still have it meet his standards. So basically he went back, filmed a couple more additional scenes and then recut it to make the film more coherent and scary. So his budget definitely jumped for this one. It was a budget of $1 million, but it brought in $25 million at the box office.
Okay, so I mean, he still brought in quite a lot of money.
Yeah. He says that it's not a favorite of his, but he considers it a minor horror classic because of where it sits in cult status.
I won't lie, I don't even think I've ever heard of this movie.
Really? You should check it out. It is pretty good. It's a very good ghost story. It's on our list, so we will get to it eventually.
Oh, well, then I'll watch it next time we get around to it.
The fifth film the Carpenter directed was a break from horror, which released in 1981 called Escape from New York, and it starred Kurt Russell. Justin, have you seen this one?
I have not, but I know, and I'm sure everybody knows of Snake Plissken.
Yes. So for those who don't know, it's a sci-fi film. And the basic plot is in 1997, Manhattan Island has been transformed into a max security prison. And after Air Force One crash lands on the island, ex-soldier and current con Snake Plissken is given 24 hours to save the president. Just what you would expect from a nice 80s action thriller. The budget for this film was $6 million, and it also brought in $25 million.
I really got to see this movie. I don't know why I've waited so long.
It is really good. I mean, it's 80s action fare, so you know what you're getting when you get into it.
Yeah.
So the next film the Carpenter, this is his sixth film, was his first financial failure. But if you ask me, we're going to have a lot more films to go through. It is my second favorite Carpenter film. And I think an argument could be made that it's also Carpenter's best work. Do you want to guess what it is? It came out in 1982.
I have no idea. I'm just happy you're not going to say Ghosts of Mars, because once we get there, I mean...
This film is called The Thing.
Okay, I have seen this one.
You've seen the original, right? With Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley, and Richard Dysart?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, this is... oh my gosh, I love this. This film is known not only for how scary and atmospheric it is, but for the groundbreaking special effects that were led by Rob Bottin. Bottin, in future works, worked on Seven, Fight Club, and a couple episodes of Game of Thrones.
Oh, interesting. So yes. I'm glad he's had a long career, because he did a damn good job.
Mm-hmm. Carpenter used the same source material that Howard Hawks used for the original Thing from Another World. See, told we come back to it. But many believe that The Thing is a better interpretation of the source material, which is a novella by John Campbell Jr. called Who Goes There?
I really like The Thing, and I feel like I should read this now. I mean, I don't know if it'll hold up. I'd like to give it a try anyways. Have you read that book at all?
I have not. I did find it. It's on my list now. It's not that long. I think it's really not that long. Maybe a day read, if that. The budget for the film was $15 million, but it only brought in $13 million at the box office.
Really?
Yeah, there are a couple of reasons attributed to this. The first was that this film is very graphic. It is very dark, and it does not have a very bright outlook for its characters at the end of the film. And then if you couple this with the fact that E.T. came out 2 weeks prior, audience wanted to see the nice aliens over the killer aliens.
I wish if I was a young child in 82, I really hope my parents would have mistaken The Thing for E.T.
They might have, and I don't think they'd be happy. But with this financial failure, Carpenter was supposed to direct a film adaptation of Stephen King's The Firestarter, but they pulled him because The Thing was such a financial failure. But he did return to the director's chair in 1983 with another adaptation of a King classic, Christine. Have you seen this one?
I have not. I don't even know that. I really haven't read a lot of Stephen King books.
You know what Christine is?
No, I have no idea.
About a boy who falls in love with a killer ghost inhabited 1958 Plymouth Fury?
Nope, you just said a bunch of gobbledygook to me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so the premise is that this kind of nerdy kid finds this old 1958 Plymouth Fury, but the car is possessed, and it starts killing people who are mean to her owner.
You know what? I'm starting to think maybe I have heard of this movie. I haven't heard of the book, but... Yeah,
both of them are very, very good. The budget for this one was $9.7 million, and it brought in $21 million at the box office. And although many consider, including me, a classic and obviously it was a financial success, Carpenter says he only directed the film because it was the only thing anyone was offering him at the time.
Do you think that's because of...
The Thing. It's because of The Thing. The fact that it didn't even make the money back at the box office really left bad taste in production studios' mouths. So, after Christine, Carpenter had a little bit more faith from studios, and he was selected to direct the 1984 film Starman, which is a sci-fi romance. And you have told me already that you did not see this one, right?
No, I have no idea what it is.
So basically, Jeff Bridges plays a alien who takes the form of a woman's dead husband, and they go on a cross-country trip in order to get him home.
Okay.
So it's like E.T., but with sex. I mean, there's like with a sexual tension, I guess is a better way to say it. This film actually earned a lot of awards. It got an Oscar and Golden Globe nomination for Jeff Bridges, and it got a Golden Globe nomination for the composer Jack Nitzsche. It was shot on a budget of $22 million, and it brought in $28.7 million at the box office.
But he's still not getting that horror money.
Yes, we'll continue on with that. His ninth film was an action comedy called Big Trouble in Little China, which was from 1986. It starred Kurt Russell again. Have you seen this one?
I have not seen this one, but I know of it.
Yes, this was shot on a budget of $25 million, but it only brought in $11.1 million.
Yikes.
Yes, this film was both a critical and financial failure. Pretty much after this film, Carpenter would never again return to big budget films, and he would focus on more small budget, kind of his own project kind of films. So this is where I grouped together a couple movies, and we're just going to kind of go through them because there are a few here that are considered cult classics, but in order to just make this process go a little bit longer, I did combine them. So
yeah, sure.
This began Carpenter's commercial decline. His 10th film, Prince of Darkness, released in 1987, was shot on a budget of $3 million and brought in $14 million. It was a horror. His 11th film, They Live, shot in 1988, was shot on a budget of $4 million and brought in $13 million. Another horror, which is about a guy who finds a pair of glasses, lets him see dead people. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I have not seen it, but again, like...
You know of it?
Yeah, I know it.
Okay. His 12th film, Memoirs of an Invisible Man, which is from 1992, was shot on a budget of $40 million, but it only brought in $14 million. This was a sci-fi comedy and it starred Chevy Chase.
I'm starting to see...
bad things on the horizon, you're right.
Yeah.
His 13th film, In the Mouth of Madness, was shot in 1994. This is kind of a Lovecraftian film, was shot on a budget of $3 million and brought in $8.9 million. His 14th film, Village of the Damned, with about the creepy little kids, was shot in 1995, shot on a budget of $22 million and only brought in $9 million.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yes, it gets worse. His 15th film, Escape from L.A., which is a sequel to Escape from New York, released in 1996, shot on a budget of $50 million, only brought in $25 million.
Oh, no.
Yes, his 16th film, Vampires, came out in 1998, shot on a budget of $20 million, and only brought in $20 million.
Oh, well, hey, at least he broke even, I guess.
Yeah. In 1997, Carpenter was offered the director role for Halloween H2O. Jamie Lee Curtis was the leading person behind this push. She really wanted Carpenter to return to this franchise with her, but Carpenter demanded a salary of $10 million to direct the film. The reason for this was because of a long-running dispute between Carpenter and the perpetual producer of the Halloween franchise, Mustafa Akkad. Carpenter felt that Akkad had cut him out of the original Halloween's financial success and all the success of the sequels, and he felt that the $10 million was a just due. Akkad decided to pass on Carpenter as a director, and Steve Miner instead helmed the film.
I'm trying to remember, there's a certain point where all the Halloweens blend together for me.
So for me, 4, 5, and 6 blend together, but Halloween H2O for me, that's when I was getting into The Faculty and...
Is that the Busta Rhymes one?
No, God, no. No.
Okay.
No. That's Halloween Resurrection. Halloween H2O is the one where Jamie Lee Curtis reprises her role as Laurie Strode. Josh Hartnett plays her son.
Okay.
It takes place on a college or a high school.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not the horrible one.
No, I actually really like it. In 2001, Carpenter returned to the director's chair. And I know you already kind of talked about this, but for me, I saw this as a kid, and it scared the crap out of me, and it's Ghosts of Mars. So I saw
hate
this
that
on
movie.
HBO when I was babysitting a cousin when I was younger.
Yeah.
And those ghosts scared the crap out of me. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. Like I've never had a chance to see it again. But I specifically remember when I was younger being terrified.
See, I remember seeing it. The last time I saw it, I was probably about 18, so it was a while ago now. And it was just... It was just bad. I do not like that
I haven't
movie.
seen it probably since 2002, 2003, but I specifically remember watching that movie and being terrified. And from what I remember, it was like Doom, because it takes place on Mars, but it's ghosts over demons. It was really, really gory and very atmospheric. But it was shot on a budget of $28 million and only brought in 8.4. And so with that, John Carpenter retired from filmmaking.
Oh, really? He retired?
Allegedly.
For a while.
In 2005, like you mentioned earlier, Assault on Precinct 13 and The Fog were remade. Carpenter was actually a producer on the remake of The Fog, but he is quoted as his involvement being, "I came in, I said hello to everybody, I went home."
I'm assuming The Fog is garbage.
I actually haven't seen the remake. So
okay.
I know my opinion on remakes.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it, so I really can't comment. In 2007, Rob Zombie got Carpenter's blessing, and he remade Halloween.
Which I will say I really enjoy Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween. Not so much the sequel. In fact, I really do not like the sequel, but I think he did a really good job remaking the first one.
You mentioned that Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween spawned a sequel. That was weird. I think we can both agree that was just a little bit too weird.
Yeah, I think it was just a little bit too Rob Zombie for Halloween.
Mm-hmm. But the reason why I really dug Zombie's original remake was that in the original Halloween, we do nothing about the shape, right? We know that Michael killed his sister when he was 6 years old, got sent away to the sanitarium, escaped, came back, and started hunting down babysitters.
Yeah.
And that was all we knew. But when Zombie decided to take a deeper look into what made Michael, for me, I liked it. I mean, I've watched it recently. I really, really dig it. I know some people have, again, I'm a big person who doesn't like remakes, but I really liked the remake of Halloween.
Yeah, I think, I also have to give my hats off to the kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm horrible with names, but I think they could not have picked a more perfect child to play a child Michael Myers.
I agree. So Carpenter came out of retirement in 2010, but this is his last film to date. It was The Ward, and it premiered at TIFF. It starred... TIFF is the Toronto International Film Festival, for those who are unaware. It stars Amber Heard, and have you seen this one, Justin?
I have not.
So, have you seen season 2 of American Horror Story, Asylum?
Nope. Oh, wait. Yes.
I'm sure you know the premise of Asylum, crazy people and not sure what's real and what's not real.
Is that the one where, the UFO...
Yes. So, The Ward is like that without the aliens.
Okay.
I've seen it. I think it's a pretty cool movie, but it's nowhere near the horror that Halloween and The Thing had, right? It was shot on a budget of $10 million, and I could not find box office numbers for that. In 2010, Carpenter also received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Freak Show Horror Film Festival. Carpenter has released 3 studio albums, Lost Themes 2, and Anthology, movie themes from 1974 to 1998.
So are they all just releases of all the...
No. Lost Themes and Lost Themes 2 are literally this musical scores that Carpenter has done.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested to hear. I'd definitely be interested to hear, because I know the music I do know that he has composed. I enjoy a lot. The Halloween theme, mainly, is fantastic. And if it's more of that, I could listen to it all day.
It is actually more of that. I listened to those albums earlier this week when I was putting this together, and it is more of that. Some techniques that are attributed to Carpenter are minimalist lighting and photography, static cameras, the use of Steadicam, and distinctive synthesized scores, which he usually self-composed. Carpenter is a very outspoken proponent of widescreen filming, and all of his films, with the exception of Dark Star and The Ward, which is kind of funny, his first and last film, were filmed on anamorphic with a 2:35:1 or greater aspect ratio. The War was filmed in Super 35, which was the first time Carpenter ever used that system. John Carpenter's legacy, we can kind of talk about it with ourselves, I mean, just between you and I, but there are several directors who have said that Carpenter was a huge influence on them, which include James Cameron, Quentin Tarantino, Guillermo del Toro, James Wan, Danny Boyle, Adam Wingard, Ben Wheatley. There's just so many people.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of them.
Turn to Carpenter. Yeah. And just kind of see what he did with his earlier works and really, really love it. Specific films, though, include Cunningham's Friday the 13th, which was inspired because of Halloween. Quentin Tarantino has said The Hateful Eight was heavily influenced by The Thing. Have you seen Hateful Eight?
I have. Yes, I actually really like that movie. I don't know if you would consider that a Western.
I do. Yes.
Okay, I love that movie. I think it's fantastic.
And can you see how Hateful Eight would be influenced by The Thing?
Yes.
Not knowing who was what and everything. I never thought about it until I was prepping this, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, like, I didn't think about that either, but now that you bring it up, like, yeah, I can definitely see.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
The last thing I have on Carpenter's legacy is that Hans Zimmer, he has said that Carpenter was a major influence on his work.
Oh, interesting.
But, Justin, with all that being said, that's all I have on John Carpenter. So, Justin, I know you haven't seen a lot of his films, but you know Carpenter. You hear the name and you think the master of horror. There's a reason why he has this kind of connotation in the horror genre. So, besides the obvious of Halloween, or even if you want to include that, like, what does Carpenter's work mean to you?
Honestly, like, whenever I think of John Carpenter, it is either Halloween or The Thing. I know those are, like, probably his two most, especially now, his two most well-known movies. But I mean, again, I had older brothers, so I got shown that stuff when I was like 6.
Yeah.
I had nightmares for days. Like, I don't know, it's just when I think of John Carpenter, I think of Halloween, The Thing, and those are two of they're definitely in like my top 5 list of horror movies. Like, I could rewatch the first Halloween over and over and over again.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, like, I have seen more of these films than you. I've seen the original Assault on Precinct 13. I've seen The Fog. I've seen Escape from New York. I've seen these movies. But there are two things to me when I think of John Carpenter that really are important. You hit on them. It's Halloween and it's The Thing. The Thing was a movie to me that really showed me how scary science fiction can be. I think back to how in the 1950s, I think it came out when Orwell recorded and released War of the Worlds on the radio drama.
Oh, yeah. And
it literally sent the country into a panic. And I know that's where a lot of people fell in love with sci-fi. But for me, as a kid watching The Thing, and obviously like Aliens and X-Files and a lot of fun stuff, but for me, The Thing really placed that there. But the biggest thing, I mean, I know I said my 2 favorite horror films are The Faculty and Blair Witch, because The Faculty because it was the first horror movie I ever remember watching, and Blair Witch because it was the first film that ever just scared me on a very physical level. I mean,
yeah,
I go hunting with my family. I'm constantly in the woods. I love the wilderness. Like, I'm moving to Utah to go out there and enjoy it, right? So Blair Witch terrified me. But I saw Halloween as a kid, and we had babysitters. And eventually, because I have 4 younger sisters, I was the babysitter, right? I mean, who hasn't looked out their window to see if Michael Myers is waiting? Like, who doesn't hear John Carpenter's theme for Halloween and automatically just become, like, goosebumps? But with that being said, Justin, John Carpenter, he's amazing. I have a quiz for you. Are you ready?
Oh, no.
It is
all right.
It is 10 questions, and since I know you haven't seen a lot of Carpenter's films, these ones focus on Halloween.
Oh, perfect. I might actually get some of these right. Not all of them, but some.
There is one question with a bonus question, and I did answer all of these questions throughout my description of Carpenter. So, are you ready?
Yeah, I guess let's give it a go and let's find out if I'm ready.
Question number 1. The now famous Michael Myers mask is actually a mask of whom?
Oh my god. Is it of John Carpenter?
It is a mask of William Shatner that they painted white because it was the cheapest mask they could find at the local store.
Really? I did not know that.
Yep.
That's really interesting.
Number 2. Before the mythos was established, what was the character of Michael Myers known as?
The Shade.
Incorrect. It is the Shape.
Oh, damn it.
No.
I was at least close.
You were close, but no cigar. 3. How old is Michael when he kills his sister?
6.
Correct.
Oh, finally.
Who is the first person that Michael kills the night he returns to Haddonfield?
Oh, is it Anne?
I'll give you that one. Annie. Annie Brackett.
Oh, okay.
Where is poor Annie murdered?
In her car?
Correct.
Oh, ooh, okay.
Question number 6.
See, I was listening.
Question number 6. The Haddonfield sheriff is related to which main character?
Is he related to Anne?
Annie. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
I added the E. It came a little later, but I added it.
Question number 7. Who wrote the score for Halloween?
John Carpenter.
Correct. And there's a bonus question for this one. What rare time signature is the theme written in?
Okay, I know nothing about music, so let's go. It was written in 3/16?
No, 5/4.
No, okay, yeah. I know nothing about music, so.
Who directed the Halloween remake?
It was Rob Zombie.
Correct. What filmmakers does Carpenter say inspired him for Halloween?
Oh.
You have to get both of them.
Oh, come on. I know the movie.
If you can give me both the movies, I'll allow it.
Okay. So The Thing from Outer Space. That's the first movie, correct? Yeah? Is it?
So, no. The Thing from Another World inspired The Thing. The first is Suspiria by Dario Argento.
Right.
And the second is The Exorcist from William Friedkin.
Right. See, I should have at least known one of those.
Yes, you should have. No. Finally, what is the name of the producer who has kept Carpenter from returning to the series with Halloween H2O?
Oh.
I'll take a last name.
I do not know.
Mustafa Akkad. And with that, Justin, you got 6 out of 10.
I think that's better than last time, at least.
I'd have to go back in my notes and look, which I can do real quick here. You got 5 out of 10 last time, so you did 1 point better.
See? Slight improvements. That's what I'm about. Slight improvements.
Slight improvements. Okay, but with that, I hope you guys enjoyed our little deep dive on John Carpenter. I know I skimmed over some films that some people might really, really enjoy, but for the sake of time, I really tried to focus on the films that meant the most, as well as spending time on what we kind of think for the Deranged Man season was important. But with that, we're going to wrap up the main topic and head on in to emails and reviews. Justin, I think my thread of playing crappy earworm songs worked on our audience because we have an email and a review this week.
They were really scared, I guess, of hearing more Wiggles songs.
Oh, it wouldn't be the Wiggles. I would find maybe Eiffel 65, Blue Amadea Mada. We'll play that.
Okay, hey. When I was in grade 6, that was my jam, okay?
Hey, I mean, I'm not crapping on it, but do you want that stuck in your head for a week?
Oh, God, no.
That's the whole point. But I will start us off. We got an email from Seagram, who's on the show last week, and apparently he wants me to read it. So here we go. Hey guys, thanks again for having me on last week. I had a great time. I've been meaning to write in for a while, so what better time than John Carpenter week? While I do love the Halloween series, I have to say my favorite Carpenter film is The Thing. It's certainly no The Last Jedi, but I love this movie. Not knowing who or what the monster might be adds an additional layer of tension to the horror. The scene that stands out to me in particular is when the doctor is examining one of the bodies. Spoiler, how kind of you. He reaches down to check the chest of the victim and it opens into a gaping maw that bites his hand off at the wrist. There's just something extra horrifying about losing both of your hands, and that affects me on a deep level. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on Carpenter. Keep up the great work with Season 2. Seagram. So,
before you say anything, thank you for the email, and now I will back away from the mic.
No, I mean, my problems with The Last Jedi would be an entire podcast. And, honestly, my problems with The Last Jedi, I didn't like the movie just walking out of it. And then just everything that followed after, it was just the perfect crap storm. It was just so bad. But the last thing I'll say on this, and maybe we're going to announce something later on in the show, but maybe at some point I can go into a deeper dive. I've mentioned my disdain for The Last Jedi in blog posts. Like, it's part of the reason why I wanted to start reviewing movies is because no one pays me for my reviews outside of the patrons who support the show. No one is telling me what I have to say. I'm just telling you what I think, and you can take it for what it is. Yes, Last Jedi we can talk about later. But the thing is fantastic. Like I said, like, it's just the whole premise of it is so awesome. I mean, especially once I realized that Hateful Eight is really kind of similar to it. It's like, oh my gosh, you know, for sure Tarantino was affected. The thing is scary. I mean, I do think for me, Halloween is still my top Carpenter film, but The Thing is a very scary movie. And if you haven't seen the original, like, you really owe it to yourself if you like horror. Like, it is atmospheric, it is bleak, it is gory, it is everything you would want in a horror film. Kurt Russell does an amazing job. It's very good. But yeah, Justin, do you have any thoughts on his email?
I also enjoy The Thing. It's, like I said earlier, like, it definitely is one of my no, I wouldn't say favorite, but it's definitely up there in my list of horror movies. And yeah, like, it's, when I was a kid, after I saw that movie, I won't lie, for the next couple of days, I wasn't sure which of my friends was the monster. Mm-hmm. Like, it definitely had a deep impact on me, and it really did have a lot of those, like, standout, granted, very visceral scenes, but I think it's a great film. I also don't like The Last Jedi, but I don't hate it as much as you. I just don't like it.
Yeah, Last Jedi just represents a very negative trend that I've been noting in cinema recently. That's kind of the biggest thing for me. But, Justin, why don't you go ahead and read our review from listener and patron, Lycan of Light.
Yeah, for sure. So, again, like Larry said, this review comes in from Lycan of Light. It is a 5-star review, and it says, both Larry and Justin have a deep love for the horror genre, while also being willing to discuss the downfalls that some of the media has in the genre, instead of just blindly saying that all of the great horror movies are without fault and are completely perfect, which is a refreshing thing to listen to. You both should be proud that even though your show is horror-focused, someone like myself who is not a fan of horror still finds great enjoyment out of it because of your passion for the show and what you want it to become. Keep up the great work, you guys. Much love, Lycan.
Thank you, Lycan. That does mean a lot to both of us. That's kind of like my hope, is that people will listen to it, and maybe you haven't seen the movies, maybe you don't know the directors, but you can at least listen, see if it's something for you, and then go check it out. And that's the fun thing with horror, is just being able to talk about it.
Yeah, and like, again, you know, we really appreciate the review, and it does mean a lot to us. I really hope that even though you don't enjoy horror movies, that hopefully, maybe not all of them, but some of the movies that we view and we go through, hopefully we can push you into seeing some of these or going into your comfort zone and starting to watch them. I mean, I think horror is definitely a really fun genre of movies, but it's also not for everybody, and I completely get that.
Yeah. And then the other big thing too is that, like I was kind of hinting at with the whole Last Jedi thing, I will not tell you something's good if I truly don't think it's good. I think it's super important that I'm honest with you guys, because I think the moment we stop being honest is the moment that our audience stops caring what our opinion is. So, I
mean, it's the reason I gave How Scary on The Boy a 2. Because honestly, I did not find that movie scary.
I gave it a low score too. I think a 2 is very low, especially because you're saying it's only a step above Gingerbread Man, and I don't think it's only one level above Gingerbread Man, but that's neither here nor there. But with that, we're going to wrap up emails and reviews. I'm sure this episode's running long. We had a lot to talk about with Carpenter, and we're going to head on into the closing. Closing time here at Here's Johnny podcast. We have a few more things to get into, and then we're going to get out of here. First and foremost, we are going to get into the entirety of the Season 2 breakdown, but next week will be Halloween, the 1978 classic review.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. I have not seen this movie in a while.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it recently. I pretty much when that trailer dropped for the new one, I watched it again. It's a great one.
I also think that having a refresher for the new one will be good, because the newer one is a direct sequel to this, is it not?
Correct. It cuts out everything else that happened in between, and it is a direct sequel. Our question of the episode will be, how do you rank the original Halloween in your horror hierarchy? So, like, where does Halloween fall when you take into account, like, Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th or The Exorcist or The Shining? Like, how high is Halloween for you?
Yeah, I mean, I would rank it fairly highly. I mean, granted, Texas Chainsaw Massacre for me is a lot higher, but it's definitely up there, and I'm hoping that it's high up there for our listeners too, because we're about to have some Halloween.
Yes. So with that being said, Justin, why don't you go ahead and drop me the Halloween theme, and I am going to run through Season 2. Next week, October 15th, Halloween 1978 review. On October 22nd, get ready for Halloween 2018 review. On October 29th, we're going to take a quick break from the Deranged Man season and instead take a quick dive into witches with Suspiria 1976 review. Look for something special on Halloween. But then, on November 5th, look for the Suspiria 2018 review. On November 12th, you'll have your first game review, which is Deadly Premonition, a 2010 classic. On November 19th, we are going to do our first horror comedy special, and we'll be reviewing Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. On November 22nd, which is Thanksgiving, again, check your feeds. We're giving you a gift.
And again, American Thanksgiving. Canadian Thanksgiving is this weekend. Well, I guess last weekend too, everybody on Monday.
November 26th, we will be reviewing the 1996 classic, and for me, top 5 film, Scream. December 3rd, we're reviewing our second game of the season, The Forest. And finally, on December 10th, we will have another fan-voted crappy Deranged Man horror film and the season wrap-up.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun season. I will say that if anybody out there does plan on playing along with Deadly Premonition, just a heads up, I think it's on PSN for PS3, correct?
Yes.
It is on Steam. The Steam version is very broken. I would highly suggest not getting it unless that's the only way you can do it. But if you want a physical copy of this game, it's not very expensive. I mean, it's like $30 or $40, which is expensive for an old game, but it's kind of hard to come across.
Yeah, I had to get on PSN. I like having physical copies, and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I had to go on eBay and pay like $40 for a copy. So, and we do plan on playing the Forest. It does come out on November 6th on PS4. And we do plan on playing it. We're not sure if it's going to be more than 2 players, because I know like the Steam version you can get up to like 8 people or something like that. But if it is more than 2 people, I mean, people are more than welcome to join us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we do actually plan on playing through that game together, which I think will make for a very interesting review.
Yeah, I agree. And then another big thing to note is that we are reviewing the new Halloween in the new Suspiria the Monday after it releases. So, again, as with all our episodes, there will be spoilers. So, if you have to wait a week until you get to go see it, wait a week. Or, if you want to hear what we have to say about it, you'll know if you want to go see it or not.
Yeah, and I will make sure that we drop some sort of spoiler warning, even if it's, before the episode. But we will make sure that there is a spoiler warning in there.
So, with all that being said, the last thing I want to talk about is Justin and I were thinking about a way to interact more with the listeners, and I think what we might do is, starting this month, have a monthly Discord hangout where Justin and I will hop in the general voice chat on Discord for about an hour to an hour and a half, and people can come in and talk to us, ask us questions on horror movies, games, music, books, whatever, and we'll just come in and hang out for about an hour, hour and a half, and just kind of get to connect with our listeners a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I'm actually really looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun. And I mean, if things happen, hey, you know what? Maybe I might be playing Dead by Daylight when we jump in and talk to you guys. So
yeah, so we'll let you know probably about a week, if not 2 weeks ahead of time before that happens. But I think it'd be kind of fun. So, yeah, Justin, ready to wrap up this episode and get on out of here?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So, as always, if you want to get a hold of the show, the best way is through our email, which is at here'sjohnnypodcast@gmail.com. On Twitter, the show is at here'sjohnnycast, and you can find me, Larry, at BeaverLA.
And you can find me at PickleThing. As always, there'll be a link for the Discord and the website in the show notes.
On the website is where you find my blog posts on Tuesday and Justin's blog posts on Thursday. I want to say a special thank you to everyone who read my first part of the American Horror Story rankings. It is my most read blog post yet, with 44 reads as of today. So thank you to everyone who read it, and hopefully I do it justice when I rank the last 3. If you want to find us on Facebook at Here's Johnny Podcast, you can hop on there. Also our YouTube, where you can find these shows in YouTube form, but then also Justin will be uploading his video diary once he gets to the con.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to that as it gets closer. Yeah, and you can search for us on Instagram. Here's Johnny Podcast on Instagram, and find us there, where we have pictures of
like behind the scenes kind of things.
Yeah, I will have the Twitch channel in the show note, a link to the Twitch channel in the show notes. And if you'd like to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/Here's Johnny Podcast, and we would really appreciate it. And again, a huge shout out to Lycan of Light and Seagull for continuing to be our patrons. So, listeners, as we end the first episode of season 2 and send you on your way, just remember that just because he looks like your best friend, talks like your best friend, and acts like your best friend, he could really be the enemy in disguise.
Obscurantism and obfuscation.
Orally observed, gentle listener.
Gentle listener.
Gentle listener.
Gentle listener.
Obviated objects of oblivion.
Obambulating about.
Offered unto you.
Offered unto you.
In the Tapestry Radio Network.
TapestryRadio.org.
From our fancy to yours.